Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina, where it will be rocking tonight as they're all decked out in orange and purple awaiting the arrival of the Tar Heels. The ACC standings look like this. Virginia has a hammerlock on the lead. Both the Tigers and the Tar Heels fighting for position. Glad to have you with us tonight, Reese Davis and Jay Billis. North Carolina has won 10 straight, Jay, in this series, 20 of 21. There's a football tradition that they are invited onto the field after every home game. They may invite themselves if they finally beat Carolina.
Well, in order to beat Carolina, they're going to have to beat a good team. Carolina's better than they're playing, but they're going to have to find a consistent third scorer to Joel Berry and Luke May. And they're going to have to start guarding people better. Carolina gave up 56 points to Clemson in the second half of the first game, and then they also gave up 15 threes to NC State in their loss on Saturday. And Clemson has to rebound. They can rebound with North Carolina. They just have to do it. They've got to keep Carolina in the half court if they want to win. Transition, and they'll lose.
North Carolina hasn't lost 3 in a row in 4 years. They'll try to get this road win tonight. It's been tough in the conference. Gene Wojciechowski is with us tonight. Gene, is it quieter where you are?
No, it's loud here, Reese. Look, we all know Roy Williams isn't afraid to show emotion. He has cried after games. He has gotten angry after games. Take a look at these comments that he said on Monday's ACC teleconference when he was asked about the quality of North Carolina's defensive effort. This is from a guy who has coached 30 years as a head coach, 15 at North Carolina, and it's not the last time that he has called this team out. He has asked them, do you want to be average? He'll get his answer tonight.
Gene, average hasn't been good enough on the road. North Carolina very fortunate. They're not winless away from home in the ACC. Only a rolled out shot against Notre Dame kept the Tar Heels from being 3 in the conference. We're underway. David Scarra's got the ball, making his first start of the night of the season, the transfer from Valpo.
Well, all I know, Reese, is I am endeavoring to be average, and tonight I think I can do it.
You knew you could the whole way. What a season and what a start Luke May has had. Luke May coming off a 31-point game against North Carolina State in a losing effort over the weekend.
Well, Luke May can shoot it, but establishing him down low so North Carolina can score more often in the paint is an important factor. And Luke May doesn't power the ball up near the rim, and Carolina's had problems defending the rim and scoring at the rim this season.
Elijah Thomas turns it over. Joel Berry lays it up and in. Berry had a sensational game the last time he was in this building, dropping 31 on Clemson as the Tar Heels won it in overtime.
Clemson not prepared for the double team, just coughed it up, threw it right to Cam Johnson so he could take it the other way.
Dave DeVoe continues his excellent shooting, coming off a career high 25 points in the victory on the road against Georgia Tech Sunday night, a mere 48 hours ago. And Gabe's been hot, and he gets the first basket of the night for the Tigers.
That was a great skip pass looking opposite.
They can't answer, and Theo Pinson hits the deck hard. Foul's going to be called inside. I think Scarra was called for it. It's his first. And Roy Williams is going to go out quickly to check on his senior.
And that is really concerning for North Carolina. Pinson, a senior, has been playing very well, especially of late, coming off a 22-point, 15-rebound game against North Carolina State.
Both of those were career highs, Jay. We try to see what happened to Theo. And it's
pushed right in the back and essentially undercut, landed on that tailbone. And those are extraordinarily painful. But couldn't really protect himself, just got taken out from under, lost his balance, and there's no way you can protect yourself.
Carolina training staff tending to him, getting a little boost from Kenny Williams. Sterling Manley, 6'11" freshman, will check in for Pinson. Pinson, who has played every position for North Carolina over the last couple of years, including when they've been in foul trouble. He's had to play the 5. So he's walking it off, and hopefully he'll be okay.
Now, Roy Williams telling us today at shoot-around that Theo Pinson played the 1 and the 4 position in the same game, which he's only had happen a couple of times in his career. Both of the other ones were at Kansas. And then Joe Barry reminded him that Pinson played the 5 against Florida State last year.
That was pretty funny as Manley goes up and gets his shot blocked. May's there to put it back. It won't go, and Clemson clears it away. The rebound going to Amir Sims. Barry was listening in on the conversation, and he remembered the lineups as well. He's been around Carolina for a while and had that encyclopedic-like memory of the lineups. Shot on the way and knocked down from the corner from Marquise Reed.
Well, you just can't come off a corner shooter.
Clemson's knocked down a couple of threes. They've scored the last 6 to take the lead, to get the students revved up and into it. Foul is going to be called on Cam Johnson for shoving the Clemson player out of the way.
That was Gabe DeVoe, and Gabe DeVoe did a really nice job defensively off that staggered screen, putting his body between the screens and Cam Johnson, and Johnson had to push off. I think Clemson can really establish Elijah Thomas inside. When they get the ball inside, I think they can kick it back out and get some open threes.
And we've got another foul called. Elijah Thomas going to be hit for the first one. There is Brad Brownell. Brownell in his 8th season here at Clemson. There was some speculation about his future after last year, but with this renovated Little John Coliseum, they wanted to give Brad an opportunity to recruit with all the facility improvements they've made, and certainly Clemson has made it pay off so far, 17-4, and at the moment Joe Lunardi has him as a 4 seed in the tournament as Manley tries to put it back up. Ball goes out of bounds, and it'll belong to the Tigers.
North Carolina's had so many shots at the rim just in this game, but they can't get anything to go. It's been Luke May, it's been Sterling Manley. You know, they ran a great set on that last play, a little screen for the screener action. And Kenny Williams missed a shot. They got the offensive rebound, got another one. And Carolina's not rewarding itself for their offensive rebounds by knocking close shots. They're missing layups.
J. Theo Pinson went back to the locker room. We'll have Gene Wojciechowski get the latest on him when he gets an opportunity. Malik Williams is checked into the game and promptly gets his shot blocked. Sims stepping out and bagging the 3.
Just getting the ball inside, Reese is collapsing the defense. And then North Carolina is not guarding the 3-point line at all. When they help, they are not recovering. When you help and recover, you have to do both, help and recover.
Jay, that's been a constant source of frustration for Carolina and the coaching staff, is defending that 3-point line. It's been a regular occurrence in ACC play for opponents to knock down double-digit threes.
Well, it's not like it's coming off the first shot and the first pass. Oftentimes when the ball goes inside or when there's a rotation, North Carolina has not been as active and alert as they need to be in identifying shooters, and especially after the ball goes inside.
Offensive rebound and a second chance for the Tigers. DeVoe.
This is starting out much like Saturday did against North Carolina State. It has been a 3-point festival for Clemson.
Foul was called on Marquise Reed, and DeVoe's picking up where he left off, JB.
Well, Gabe DeVoe, 25 points, 5 of 8 from 3 against Georgia Tech. Maybe the best shooter on this team, and if you let him catch and shoot, he drains it.
For the Tigers. Now let's take a look at who's flipping the switch, brought to you by Boost Mobile. And really the switch has been stuck on off for Clemson against North Carolina in this series. Tar Heels have won 20 of the last 21, including 10 in a row.
That may be the history, but you know, oftentimes you look at the current players, they didn't have anything to do with that history. And I know Dante Grantham is not playing anymore. He was lost for the season with that ACL injury he suffered against Notre Dame, and that's a huge blow to Clemson because of his versatility and how good of a player that Dante Grantham is. And Roy Williams, his anti-littering program, very well done.
Roy, thank you, Roy. He brings us a souvenir. He said, full disclosure here, Billis forgot to bring a tie on this trip, so you had to stop. You had to go buy one. So Roy said you could use this little orange strip if you wanted. It'd be like a mini bolo tie for you.
Well, it wasn't that I forgot a tie. I like to contribute to the local economy.
Thought you made a mistake once. Turns out you were mistaken. You didn't. Is that it?
Exactly. I'm never wrong. I thought I was wrong once. Turns out I was mistaken.
What's not mistaken is shooting threes against North Carolina. Every Clemson field goal has come from beyond the arc, and North Carolina's sharpshooter Cameron Johnson answers with one of his own.
If you're going to go one-on-one in the post with Luke May, you can't come off a shooter like Cameron Johnson. And of course that's easy to say, hard to do, because you're taught to help. But Johnson caught that ball and shot it right away, and he has to be made to put it on the deck.
Spinning shot put up softly, and then a whistle on the inside.
Well, the ball goes inside to Luke May. There's one-on-one in the post, and he's pushed off the post, and Marquise Reed just got caught in no man's land. He didn't go double, and he didn't stay with Cam Johnson. And you have to stay with him. If you don't, he's going to be able to shoot it from the catch spot, and that's where he is especially dangerous. He's an excellent shooter that's really helped to stretch the defense for North Carolina.
This is Clyde Trapp, you just saw coming into the game, a freshman from Eastover, South Carolina. Andrew Platek into the game and with the ball for the Tar Heels. You mentioned Dante Grantham, Jay. North Carolina really held him in check when they played in Chapel Hill, and then he's been injured. And Clemson's sort of trying to figure out how to play without him now and how to replace some of the productivity he gave them.
Well, the productivity is going to be a big deal to replace, because Dante Grantham's done a really good job of rebounding this season. And he's always been a really talented player, but I think most people expected more from him. And this year he provided it, especially on the leadership front. But I don't think people have to necessarily, Clemson players have to be someone other than themselves. They have to do what they do. They just need to do it better.
Another three for Clemson, this time from Shelton Mitchell.
It's coming
Quick
off.
pass inside, and a turnover is made, threw it away. He was looking for Platek.
I don't know what he was looking for, but that's not the right play to make. But North Carolina cannot give up penetration to Clemson. If they can't guard the ball, that way they get broken down, they get put into rotation, maybe even to scramble. And Clemson is taking advantage of it, trying to lift up this North Carolina defense and make the big guys move around, especially Sterling Manley.
Jay, 100% of Clemson's points have come from three. North Carolina gives up more than 42% of its points from three. That's most among major conference teams, and there's another one for DeVoe.
It is rare you see a team put up nothing but threes.
Clemson is not necessarily a great three-point shooting team, but they have been so far tonight. Barry misses, Trapp saves it, Tigers have it.
They've got an opportunity to beat North Carolina down the floor.
Look, Brownell told us today they're not doing that as much without Grantham. What they are doing, shooting threes, and a miss this time. North Carolina has it.
Without Grantham, you still have to push the ball up the court. They're good things if they get it up quickly.
18-9 lead for Clemson. The biggest of the night so far. Look at all these triples.
And everybody for North Carolina inside the lane on the skip pass. Three North Carolina defenders surrounding the post. North Carolina right now is in over-help mode. And Clemson right now seeing a big basket as a result. Most of these threes have been wide open. Great step-back move by Gabe DeVoe. But right now, Clemson, in a revamped and refurbished Little John Coliseum, is seeing a big hoop.
DeVoe, he already has 3 threes, going for his 4th one, an offensive rebound for the Tigers and a fresh shot clock.
These threes now are going to open up some driving lanes for Clemson. They should take advantage of it.
They swing it into the corner, and knocking it down is Malik Williams.
See, Reese, North Carolina right now can't go inside. Everything's from the perimeter.
Barry. Boy, did Carolina need that one.
And without Theo Pinson in the game, that's North Carolina's best perimeter defender and best passer.
Gene, what do you have on Theo Pinson?
Theo Pinson is still in the locker room. It's a left shoulder strain. It hasn't been determined if he's going to be able to return. They're still working on him.
Boy, that's interesting. I would not have guessed a shoulder from the way he fell.
I thought I saw him grab the shoulder, but you don't want to speculate because a lot of times, you know, there's a lot that rattles when you take a fall the way Pinson did. And we're hopeful that he'll be able to get back in, and certainly the Tar Heels need him as Barry tries to penetrate. Clyde Trapp is called for the foul. When we come back to Littlejohn, Billis will go 94.
Reed's a phenomenal scorer, one of the best scorers in the league. Good one-on-one guy, and it's hard to stop him when he gets going.
Gabe DeVoe.
Gabe's a runaway shooter, catch-and-shoot guy, and this year he's playing really good defense on the ball.
Elijah Thomas.
Big man, great big man, hard to guard him in the post, really good defensive.
Dante Grantham.
Dante Grantham, energy guy, leader on the team, can score on all levels, can do everything.
Pretty good scout, too, 94 feet.
Oh, isn't it great that a guy with a torn ACL had to walk 94 feet with Jay Billis today? He is going to get surgery on that right knee February 9th, and he hopes on senior night maybe he'll dress one last time and at least take a curtain call.
Well, I did slow down for him, Gene, because of my lightning quickness and speed. But what a great young man Dante Grantham is, and he was having such a terrific year. Everything had come together for him on the floor as a player, and rebounding at a high rate, one of the most versatile players in the league and one of the most difficult matchups. Well, the timeout reason, North Carolina immediately went inside, but Garrison Brooks just couldn't get it to go. That one, he got up on the glass and got in. But if North Carolina can't score inside, that puts way too much pressure on their perimeter game to make shot after shot.
Garrison Brooks, a freshman who originally was going to play at Mississippi State, where his dad is an assistant coach, but decided he wanted out of his letter of intent and playing here at North Carolina. Roy Williams talking today that he's going to have to give these young big guys more time on the floor if he wants them to improve. Marquise Reed has one rattle out, which has been a rare occurrence. Clemson still looking for its first two-point field goal of the night, but they've got 7 triples as we reach the midway point of the first half, and that is going to be the 6th team foul against the Tigers as Amir Sims is going to be called for the foul. That's his first. Our Women's Thursday Night Showcase on ESPN. Undefeated #1 UConn taking on the reigning national champion South Carolina. Always a really popular team in these parts. That comes your way 7 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. It's on the ESPN app as well. UConn 5-0 all time against the Gamecocks. I think Dawn Staley is locked in on the Eagles too. Super Bowl.
I don't find South Carolina to be popular in these parts. This is an all Clemson area.
That was said with a bit of facetiousness.
Aha.
Tongue-in-cheek even. Sterling Manley going to make sure that Clemson still doesn't get that 2-point field goal.
Well, Roy Williams doesn't want Sterling Manley to give the ball up that close to the basket, because that was a spectacular block just to be able to save a bucket. And I think Roy Williams wanting the freshman to do his work earlier.
Speaking of going to work, Elijah Thomas tries to.
Looked like he got fouled from behind by Garrison Brooks.
Got away with it, the drive all the way in. Fighting for the ball is Brandon Robinson. And it'll be Clemson's ball. Did he get fouled? Well, no, just he got mugged.
Yeah, he got pounded.
Assaulted. Got knocked around a little bit.
Protecting the shooter. One of the points of emphasis. That won't go on the highlight reel for officials.
Clemson hasn't scored in about 3 minutes now. Now here's Thomas again. Thomas can use both hands very well. You watch him, and he spins back and uses the right there. And this time, the foul is called. Manley whistled for it. That's just the 3rd team foul on North Carolina, but was in the act of shooting. So Thomas shoots about 63%. Will go to the free throw line to try to give Clemson its first points in some fashion other than a three-pointer.
You know, fellas, one of the reasons that Roy Williams went to that small lineup at this point in the season was he just couldn't trust those two freshman big men. And he really just decided today that he was going to make a change and try to see what happens with the bigs back in there. But it was that lack of trust that made him go to that small lineup to begin with.
Well, Gene, they've had so many years of experienced guys. North Carolina is still a good rebounding team statistically, but they've had guys just dominate, particularly on the offensive boards. And this team's been a little bit different, Jay, in that in their wins, they've shot about 40% or a little better than that from the three-point line. In their losses, under 30. And I asked Roy today if he'd had a team, recent memory, quite that dependent on just whether the ball goes in or not.
Clemson went to a zone on that last possession. Good pass.
Thomas running the floor, can't finish. Skara back into the game, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Poor transition defense by North Carolina, and that's what I was talking about earlier, Reese. I think that Clemson can push the ball up court, especially with the freshman big guys in. You can get the ball up court quickly, especially if you're looking to pass ahead. Excellent rim run by Elijah Thomas, just didn't get it to go. And then Skara, nobody boxed him out. Tough to do that in transition when you're scrambling to get back. But to Gene Wojciechowski's point, you know, Roy Williams wants to play two big guys, but this team is more like the team he had in 2013 after he lost, you know, John Henson and Harrison Barnes and that whole crew. He had to go small that year when James Michael McAdoo was his lone big guy in the starting lineup. He had guys like P.J. Hairston and Reggie Bullock and Marcus Page, you know, in that lineup. And you know, this team is going to have to figure out a way, and the big guys are going to have to mature quickly.
Jay, they're going to try another young big guy, Brandon Huffman, getting some run. Cam Johnson lining one up, has it rattle out. Here come the Tigers. We'll see if they try to beat the Tar Heels back. Heels get back on defense.
Good pass.
It's an awkward looking shot, but Shelton Mitchell can make them another three. That's their 8th triple of the first half.
That was just simple penetration. 1 or 2 dribbles into the lane, kick it out, easy step-in shot.
Cam Johnson gave a little fake, and then he drained another one. It's his 2nd triple of the night.
Isn't it amazing with a ball fake you can move the defense? Didn't even have to put it on the deck.
And there it is, Jay. If you had 12 minutes and change until Clemson finally made a 2-point field goal, you're a winner.
That's a bad beat.
Marquise Reed blocked by Thomas. They call the jump ball. Tigers have been shooting it, trying to beat Carolina for the first time after losing 10 straight.
Better job and fight harder on the offensive end to get the shot that they want. And you got to go up stronger around the basket because North Carolina's had a number of layup opportunities, shots within 5 feet that they're not knocking down.
Brandon Huffman, the freshman big man, number 42. Working inside. Johnson's hit a couple of long ones. That one's on the front of the rim, and here come the Tigers.
And that miss was an outlet pass. It bounced right to the opposite end.
Active hands keep Gabe DeVoe from getting a clean look. He was spotted up on the right side, Jay, and ready to have that thing fed right in the shooting pocket.
You know, one thing, Reese, that North Carolina needs in this game and in every game is they've got to have a third scorer. Kenny Williams or Cam Johnson, they've got to step forward and give some consistent production because I don't think North Carolina can expect to win at the highest level with just Luke May and Joel Berry scoring points.
Elijah Thomas got rid of it before it got blocked, and now the shot clock a factor for maybe the first time tonight. Just in time, Shelton Mitchell.
You know what? It wasn't pretty, but when it goes in at the end, it's a beautifully run set.
Playtech knocked it down, but his foul is going to be called and says the illegal screen. It is on the freshman big man Brandon Huffman.
Huffman just trying to roll into Gabe DeVoe, and you just have to stay set. But he was moving before the screen was even set.
I don't know if Dabo Sweeney's here tonight, but he could have appreciated that block.
Yeah, that was like a pick play in in football, isn't it?
Yes. Roger Ayers has a whistle. Gabe DeVoe called for that one. That's Clemson's 7th team foul. Garrison Brooks returns. Huffman takes a seat.
As well as Clemson has shot the ball, the Tigers have played very well on the offensive end. North Carolina can certainly get back in this game just by running good offense on their end.
Johnson couldn't get it to go. Marquise Reed chases it down. Does not have numbers, does not care. Still took it all the way to the bucket. It'll be Clemson ball out of bounds.
Like Cam Johnson's last 2 shots, both of them have been contested, but both of those long rebounds have really served as outlet passes for Clemson's break.
You saw quite a bit of that in your game Saturday night in the Kentucky-West Virginia game.
Well, West Virginia was clanging them. The one thing about West Virginia that I've noticed over the last 4 or 5 games, when the Mountaineers struggle to score offensively, it really starts affecting their defense. And I didn't think that West Virginia guarded very well at all in the second half, largely because scoring had become an issue for him.
Scar lined it up. He's been struggling with his confidence in shooting a little bit.
That's 3 of 10 now from 3-point range on the season, only shooting 30% from the field overall. When he transferred in from Valpo, he's known as a stretch 4, but he's going to have to knock some shots down to stretch a defense.
Johnson's called for the offensive foul. Good job by Elijah Thomas getting in position. And Roy Williams continues to be frustrated, Gene.
It's been a lecture series down here in the sideline. He keeps on turning to his players, talking to them, exhorting them to play harder. But look, Roy has been frustrated this entire season. He's been hard on himself. And if you look at this quote, he's been hard on his team. He has just about had it with the defensive effort.
The 3-point shooting against the Tar Heels has been extraordinary. You look closely at some of the analytics. Teams are just making some of the more contested shots as the foul is called on Joel Berry. That's his first foul. Both teams in the bonus now. So Marquise Reed, who's an excellent free throw shooter at 85%, will go to the line. Jay, I want to ask you a little bit about the North Carolina defensive philosophy. How much of the philosophy of getting back, big guys getting back inside, lends itself to giving opportunities for clean looks from 3?
I don't think it does at all. I think that has to do with just guarding your man. And North Carolina's not done a great job of defending the dribble just on that last play. Marquise Reed, just with one simple move, is able to get a straight line drive and get past his defender, and that breaks your whole defense down. And I think one of the things that frustrates Roy Williams, if he's going to go with a smaller lineup, that lineup should be able to shoot the ball effectively, which it hasn't done. And it should be able to force some turnovers. And North Carolina's not forcing turnovers. They're not heating up the ball, and they're not making it tough to run offense.
Joel Berry heating up. Knocks down the triple.
There's a lot of pressure on Joel Berry to put points on the board. The pressure that he didn't have last year, playing alongside Justin Jackson and having those terrific big guys, Kennedy Meeks and Tony Bradley, Isaiah Hicks.
Mitchell with the answer.
Mitchell was able to just wind up for that shot. He caught it, took his time, no pressure on him at all.
Berry splits a couple of defenders. Johnson will draw the foul on DeVoe. Berry, the most outstanding player in the national championship team in the Final Four, but saw how much they depended on him offensively on Saturday. The loss to NC State in overtime, a close game. Berry really struggled from the floor, just had 6 points.
He's not shot it well this season. He's only shooting 38% on the year. Heck, his last 3 games, he's 5 of 23 from 3-point range coming into this one, and 15 of 48 overall in those 3 games. He's one of the hardest workers, Reese, that you're going to see in college basketball. He comes early to shoot-arounds. He and assistant coach Hubert Davis, they take a separate car before the bus. They come and shoot half hour to an hour before the rest of the team gets here. And Roy Williams said, if he doesn't start making shots, I'm going to put a stop to that. It's not working.
Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Here's Sims working on Luke May. Turned it over. So for all the struggles North Carolina's had defensively, they're only down by 13. Johnson driving to the baseline. The foul's going to be called inside. Foul is called on Skara. Clemson up by 13. This is the ACC. And Ravi, Theo Pinson is out for the game with a strained left shoulder. Gene, what's the latest? What else do you have on that? We'll check in with Gene Wojciechowski in a bit. Here's what happened, Jay. Early in the game, Pinson was going for a rebound, got shoved by David Scarr and landed on his rear end, but also hurt the shoulder. And now Gene's ready. Gene, what do you have for us?
They're going to reevaluate him. It still looks like he's going to be out, but they are going to reevaluate him at halftime. And remember, Jay and Reese, this is the guy that these guys have said, as Theo Pinson goes, North Carolina goes, fellas.
I'm sure Roy is hopeful. He came over to us during the timeout and said that Theo was done for the game. And certainly they could use him. They could use some of that toughness. Shot clock winding down. Reed has to get rid of it, and he doesn't hit the rim. It'll be a violation. Carolina has it, so we'll play on.
That's the way it should be all the time. Good pass inside by Luke May, and a defensive breakdown by Clemson. Reese, the last two halves that Clemson has played against North Carolina, the second half in Chapel Hill and this first half, Clemson scored 91 points on the Tar Heels. And that number can go up. There's still 3 minutes left in the first half. They scored 56 against Carolina in the second half at Chapel Hill.
Made 15 straight shots after falling behind by 18. Amir Sims stops a little 6-0 run that the Heels had ripped off.
Boy, what a great move. And Reese, that is an up and under move. People like to say when somebody uses the rim to go to the other side or double clutches, that's up and under. That's not what that is. That was an up and under move.
You tweeted the great Kevin McHale the other day, did you not? Some instructional video on the up and under. Play Tech has it on the outside now. The Clemson bench wanted to call. Cam Johnson very effectively used that shoulder, create a little bit of space. Knocked down the jumper.
With Theo Pinson out, it's a little bit different ball movement for North Carolina. Theo Pinson's the best passer on this Carolina team, leading the team in assists. He's an excellent rebounder, their best defender. So Clemson having to play without Dante Grantham. You don't have to do anything different. You just have to do what you do better and harder.
There he throws up a wild shot. Playtech can't get the follow. Now Clemson's running. Thomas is up front, and he puts it home.
You know what, Reese, North Carolina's defense hasn't been very good at all, but their offense has been worse. If Carolina could score, they'd be right here in this game. And Clemson, you have to give credit to Clemson's defense. They're making everything difficult and have not given up many open shots at all.
And the contest gets Clemson another possession. The kick out, and there we get the offensive foul on Shelton Mitchell. It's his first. If he'd been able to keep himself under control, Clemson would have had another clean look. There's Thomas running ahead of the field. You can bounce pass well. You can play at any level. You can also give Roy a headache. Got the shirt unbuttoned. Right at the collar. Oh, that might not have been by design. Just over a minute to play here in the first half. Three-point attempt by Playtech's off, and we're having a run of whistles. They're going to call the foul on Luke May. That's his first. Don't forget, Saturday prime time College Game Day is going to be in Austin, Oklahoma and Texas, the Trae Young Show. That'll be followed at 8:15 Eastern time by number 5 Michigan State going to Assembly Hall to take on Indiana. Miles Bridges, double figures in 21 of his last 22 games. Terrific doubleheader on Saturday afternoon. Amir Sims going to the free throw line after the foul on Luke May as Clemson pushes its lead to a dozen with a minute to play here in the first half at Littlejohn. One out of two, and Tar Heels try to close with a bit of a flourish. And another whistle on the inside. And I think they're going to get the youngster Manley. Second personal foul on Manley. That'll be 9 team fouls on North Carolina.
Whether it's been turnovers, challenge shots, inability to finish around the basket, even that run out to Elijah Thomas that Clemson got was primarily because North Carolina missed a layup. Andrew Platek missed a layup, everybody down below the free throw line, and Clemson took advantage of it.
The officials are having a look at that last foul on Sterling Manley. I was blocked off from the position live, so we'll take a look here during the official review, see if we can determine what happened.
He's just jockeying for position, trying to get from one block to the other, and raised up that right arm. I can't imagine that that would be anything other than a play on.
What do you think needs to be done? Let me take another look at this. There's Elijah Thomas in there, maybe.
Yeah, maybe they will call that a flagrant because he threw out that right arm and it was above the shoulders. Not that that's a requirement anymore, but I think they probably will call this a flagrant one. From the other view, it looked like he was just making a little swim move, but that arm went fully behind him.
Okay, I see the hand there. I was all set to disagree with you and go, come on, but then I see the hand getting up around the neck area.
It's always interesting watching poach play. You know, John Higgins is looking right at it, and Elijah Thomas has 2 hands on Sterling Manley.
Yeah.
You know, that's supposed to be a foul. You can never have 2 hands on an opposing player like that, especially a ball. You can't have 2 hands on a ball handler ever. Mm-hmm. But you wrap an arm around a postman, that's supposed to be called. So you can see he's got his arm on his shoulder. Yeah, it's just a little discard there. I don't know what, that's a push more so. See, that's a great angle there. Mm-hmm. That's a push off and more so than an elbow. But this is taking forever. If the referee didn't see it, I mean, this is ridiculous how long this takes.
It's many times, and I see he gets up top there, but that just looks like a common foul.
It is a common foul. That's what I thought at the beginning, but the second replay made it look a little bit more, but the last one we saw, the above the rim, shows that it wasn't anything. But the referees may not be seeing our above the rim camera. We do not provide this. It's DV Sport that does. But if they're seeing it, this should be over, and it shouldn't be anything. Nope, they're giving it a flagrant one. That's hard to believe.
Yeah. Roger Ayers over here explaining it to Roy Williams. So Sterling Manley will get the flagrant one.
Yeah, Roger Ayers just told us it was a flagrant one. He didn't seem to say it with a lot of vigor. I don't know whether there's disagreement, but I certainly disagree with it.
I'd like to see a little more discretion and more judicious use of that rule, but Elijah Thomas steps up and makes the first free throw to stretch Clemson's lead to 13.
You know, oftentimes, look, these officials are instructed what to do in certain situations, and we're certainly not in all those meetings. They do have some judgment, obviously, that they can exercise, but that's a push. That is not an elbow, and that happens in basketball. You want to call a foul on a push, fine. Flagrant, no way. Absolutely no way.
And to your point, too, it was precipitated by another foul that could have been called. I wouldn't even mind if you see something like that when you're looking at the replay monitor that you go, you know what, we're good here, if the contact wasn't egregious. North Carolina with it back down 13, half minute to go. Luke May's been fairly quiet here in the first half, and Thomas blocks his shot, and Clemson can hold for the final shot of the first half.
That's one of the issues that North Carolina has. Like, Luke May is not a power player. So powering up through there is difficult for him, but what a great first half for Clemson. You can hear the crowd. Referees in the replay kind of took the crowd out of it, but they're trying to get back in. Here comes the run and jump.
Only a couple seconds. Trapp's going to have to send it on its way, and that's the way to end it. Clyde Trapp with the Tigers' 10th three of the first half. And Clemson is perfect this season when leading at halftime. They're up 44-28. Great first half for Brad Brownell, who's with Gene Wojciechowski.
Brad, your home crowd is thrilled with this double-digit lead in the first half. How did you feel about things?
I thought we played really well, Gene. Obviously, when you shoot the ball the way we did in the first half, it really helps energize the crowd, but it also gets our defense set, which I think is really important when you play these guys.
So you have a second half to go. What's going to be the message to your team in that locker room?
Just don't do much different. Be who we are. Play the way we want to play. Obviously, we got to keep them from getting in transition, getting the second chance points. Can't have live ball turnovers.
Thank you for your time.
Gene, Brad, thank you very much. And what a shooting performance in the first half by the Tigers. Clyde Trapp finishing it off. Clemson up 44-28 on North Carolina. Alfa Romeo halftime report coming up after these messages. Biggest halftime deficit of the season. A torrid shooting performance in the first 20 minutes for Clemson. They're on top 44-28. Reese Davis and Jay Billis with you at Little John Coliseum as we take a look at tonight's Planning for Success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, Clemson played really well in that first half, especially from the three-point line. Clemson hit 10 threes. They went 10 of 19 from three-point range in the first half. From two-point range, the Tigers were only 4 of 13. But even if you only counted the three-point shots that Clemson made, the Tigers would still be ahead of North Carolina, who only shot 29% in that first half. And you look at all these 10 threes, we can't get through them all, it seems. They're all catch and shoot, except for the last one by Clyde Trapp, which he was made to put the ball on the deck just to beat the buzzer. Clemson shot the ball extraordinarily well.
Theo Pinson played just 2 minutes, took a tough spill in the first half. A few moments ago, Gene Wojciechowski caught up with Roy Williams.
Roy, could you give us the latest update on Theo Pinson's condition?
Theo will not come back and play in this game. It's when he fell, he hurt his hip and also his shoulder. Shoulder appears to be more of the problem right now.
You gave up 10 threes in that first half. You've talked about how disappointed you've been in your defense. What do you have to do in the second half to tighten things up?
You got to get our heart and brain both involved. I mean, that was the biggest emphasis we had, is trying to close out on the shooters and not give up three-point shots. Probably shows how bad a coach I am, Gene.
Thank you, Roy.
Well, Roy has had a difficult time getting the Tar Heels to defend the way he wants them to, especially from beyond the arc. But the first three-point attempt from Clemson in the second half is short off the hand of Shelton Mitchell.
Kenny Williams has got to get involved in this ball game. Without Theo Pinson in the game, Williams has got to be a scorer in this second half. He had a goose egg in the first and just wasn't aggressive offensively.
Jay, he's missed his last 11 from three, and that's how he makes his money on offense. Clemson swinging the ball now. Shot clock headed toward 10. Marquise Reed cut off from the drive. And there's Elijah Thomas using that left hand.
Well, Thomas should have just powered that ball. He shot it right away, but he had an angle on Luke May where I think he could have powered it right to the rim.
Brandon Robinson getting the start in the second half with Pinson missing the half. Joel Berry is fouled. It'll be called on Shelton Mitchell.
North Carolina with a little bit better movement on that last possession. But the Tar Heels still need to cut harder, drive it, and put some pressure on this Clemson defense if they want to get back into the ballgame. Even though Clemson has badly outplayed North Carolina, we saw last week in Morgantown, West Virginia, this is not an insurmountable lead.
There is Kenny Williams getting involved, the three and the foul. That snaps a string of 0 for 11 from behind the arc.
Well, maybe that'll get Kenny Williams going. He's averaging over 11 points per game. He had 15 the last time these two teams played. He was supposed to go to VCU, but look how he gets his feet set. That was really good footwork on the catch and shoot. Got all 10 toes pointed to the rim. But he was supposed to go to VCU and play for Shaka Smart. Then Shaka Smart took the Texas job, reopened his recruiting, and chose North Carolina. Good steal.
Now North Carolina with numbers. The high handoff, and Williams has 6 consecutive points.
Clemson going to take a timeout here and need one.
Barry was pressuring Mitchell, and North Carolina has come out with a fury in the opening couple of minutes here in the second half. Down by 16 at the break, and the Tar Heels
into offense, and we haven't seen much of that in the first half. So Clemson's got to be prepared for that run and jump or scramble trap that North Carolina likes to throw. Sometimes they can do it after you cross half court. Sometimes it's after the first pass. But you'd better be prepared for that trap and to throw out of it and then attack on the backside.
Hey, Jay, you know how Roy Williams was hot under the collar earlier? Well, now it was Brad Burnell's turn. He used that one word that you never want to hear as a ball player. He called some of his players soft, the ultimate put down, soft. He wants this ball to move around a lot. He says, we've got 4 guards on the floor. Let's move this thing and run it.
North Carolina's moving it, Wojo. Might have been a foul on the other end. Cam Johnson dumps it to Luke May, who gives it right back to Johnson, and North Carolina has cut it to 8.
Well, right now, North Carolina is attacking on both ends of the floor. Let's see if they come with another trap if they have the opportunity.
Forcing turnovers has not been Carolina's strong suit. They're among the bottom 50 in the country in terms of percentage of turnovers forced, and boy, did Clemson need that. An opportunity for a 3-point play as Clyde Trapp got it inside. The foul's called on Brandon Robinson.
Just a poor rotation by Robinson when Cam Johnson came over to stop the penetration, and North Carolina looked like they were trying to ice that ball screen, but Brandon Robinson's got to drop down and take away that pass. And just a very slow rotation on the part of the Tar Heels, and a nice response by Clemson out of the timeout.
Brad Brownell exhorting his team from the sideline. The proper response to being called soft in the huddle. Williams. Brownell wanting his team to push, but Marquise Reed take it easy. Now he spins past Williams and has the ball knocked out of bounds, and Johnson was the last to touch it.
Well, the first half, when Clemson would penetrate, they were very adept at kicking the ball out. And Marquise Reed has had a tough night. He has not been able to find any range and any rhythm, but he needed to kick that ball out. He went 1-on-3. Good fake.
Thomas, Luke May kept him from getting the dunk, but Thomas will go to the free throw line and shoot a couple. Second foul on May.
Well, that was a basket-saving foul. But that fake by Gabe DeVoe allowed him to get into the lane.
May getting his second foul. Jay, he's only made a couple of buckets tonight, coming off a 31-point game against North Carolina State. Hasn't scored since the 16-minute mark of the first half, but the foul saved at least 1 point as Thomas misses the first.
Well, like Thomas shoots about 63% from the free throw line. One of the better shot blockers in the Atlantic Coast Conference. He transferred in from Texas A&M, where he was in the same recruiting class as Tyler Davis and DJ Hogue. A really talented player that's just starting to get the same production at the level of his talent.
He can handle the ball. It doesn't take many shots away from the rim. A wild shot by Cameron Johnson.
Cam Johnson, he was trying to avoid the contact instead of go right into it. Came up
technical term for that is ill-advised. Johnson trying to walk it off. If you're just joining us, Theo Pinson from North Carolina was hurt in the first couple of minutes of this game, won't return. Hurt his hip, but Roy Williams telling Gene Wojciechowski that the more pressing issue is a strained shoulder, as Johnson trying to walk it off. Also North Carolina's depth challenge tonight, the freshman guard Jalik Felton, who's been getting right at 10 minutes per game, maybe just a little bit less than that, has been suspended from the university as an investigation into an alleged incident is underway, according to his lawyer. So Felton is not available tonight either.
Good pass.
May just can't get it going offensively tonight. A tremendous look from Barry. May can't finish. Fourth leading scorer in the ACC. He's had a rough offensive night so far. Clemson has not had a rough offensive night. DeVoe with another three. May has it knocked away. Tigers on the run. Moving the ball beautifully. There's Reed. That was a step-in three that you just felt like was going to go, but it was a little off to the left.
Clemson moving the ball, and their shot fakes and ball fakes have been excellent. North Carolina really needed something to go.
Cameron Johnson now with 17 points tonight as North Carolina keeps hanging around.
Really, this game is about stops. And if North Carolina wants the opportunity to win this game on the road against a very good Clemson team, even though playing without Dante Grantham, who's lost for the year with a knee injury, it's about how many stops and can Carolina get consecutive stops.
Thomas follows and then got it toward the rim as he knew it was going to be fouled. Luke May called for the foul. That's his third. Clemson trying to snap a 10-game losing streak to the heels, and they're up by a dozen. Huggy saying he thinks Young has the most impact in the point guard position of anybody since Jason Kidd. Do you agree with that assessment?
I think it's pretty darn close. I would have said Steph Curry because that's who he plays like. Jason Kidd was a big bruising point guard that was so fast with the ball and so great in transition. But Trae Young is the most like Steph Curry, at least that I've seen.
Young had 29 in that first meeting against the Mountaineers, but they did hold him to 3 of 12 from three-point land.
Well, he also coughed the ball up like crazy, and Javon Carter was able to bully him a little bit. I think we've seen Trae Young grow up quite a bit over the last several ball games, picking his spots much better. Maurice, North Carolina is going to have to get some offensive rebounds, and they certainly have to do a better job of finishing plays.
A lot at stake here, Jay. Carolina trying to avoid its first 3-game losing streak in 4 years. Clemson trying to snap a 10-game losing streak at the hands of the Tar Heels. They've lost 20 of 21. And the ball's out of bounds. It'll belong to the Tigers.
Well, Elijah Thomas just owning the backboard right now. Not allowing Garrison Brooks to get that shot off. And coming from the weak side, blocking it with that left hand. And Brooks was a little bit more worried about Sims. It's amazing. You have to go up so strong in this league.
Rare miss from the corner on a three-pointer from Shelton Mitchell.
A good job by Cam Johnson to get in there and rebound, because Thomas would have had that past Manley.
And Manley, the freshman, spinning and scoring.
That was really good passing. Ball went inside to Brooks. He immediately looked down to the baseline to Manley and made a really nice pass. So the freshman big guys starting to produce.
In an era when you think nobody falls through the cracks, Manley wasn't really on Carolina's recruiting radar until the girls coach at his high school had a connection with the assistant Steve Robinson, got some tape there, suffered a couple of broken legs in high school, and wound up in North Carolina and has a bright future. DeVoe has to try to beat the shot clock. He didn't hit the rim. It'll be North Carolina ball.
Ball goes inside here to Garrison Brooks, right at the elbow. That drew Sims to help up, and that opened it up for Sterling Manley. And right now, North Carolina can get it to single digits if they can score a great screen.
And another bucket from Manley, and it's a 9-point lead. And you can sense them starting to get uneasy in Littlejohn. They've seen this movie before. Big lead on the Tar Heels, only to have Carolina come roaring back.
Well, you can't get stops all game long, but you can turn around and score.
Offensive rebound for Thomas. The follow won't go, and pulling it away is Garrison Brooks. Clemson's been more than 3 minutes without a point.
North Carolina needs to set good screens. Got to switch.
Johnson pulling up and scoring.
Well, that was really smart by Cam Johnson. Got the switch with Sims on him. He immediately drove it to the baseline and pulled up where Amir Sims couldn't stay with him.
A 9-1 run. Cameron Johnson leading everybody in scoring. Tar Heels within a touchdown.
So that ball's got to go inside earlier.
Thomas spinning and using the left. Still it won't go. A whistle on the inside.
See, gets the switch off the ball screen, and Cam Johnson looked like Sims turned his head, and then here's this simple little diagonal up screen and no communication at all. Gabe DeVoe doesn't communicate. They lose the big guy going down underneath Sterling Manley, and just an easy score.
That's 8 straight missed shots by Clemson as DeVoe misses it. Running ahead of the field is Williams, but DeVoe hustling back, saved it, but Carolina got it back. Johnson.
Boy, what a comeback by North Carolina. And this, now you're going to see what Clemson has. They've been punched in the mouth with this comeback. Can they score and answer and stretch this lead back out to two full possessions, 2 3-point possessions?
A 22 for Johnson, a season high. He scored 24 against Carolina when he played at Pitt. Shot clock getting deep again. Kick to the corner and an offensive foul on the Tigers, and the Tar Heels are alive on this bench beside us.
North Carolina's defense has been questioned by its coach Roy Williams and a little bit by us. But in the second half, that defense starting to step forward, and North Carolina making plays. Cam Johnson having a terrific ball game. The transfer from Pitt. Carolina getting excited.
Well, you ought to stay in there and give them some guidance, Ravi, because those two need it for sure. Look at the second half shooting. Most of it courtesy of Cameron Johnson from North Carolina, who's taking a quick break. But Clemson, who was on fire in the first half, 10 of 19 from 3, just 1 of 5 from behind the arc in the second half.
Yeah, that graphic said 14%. That's selling Clemson a little bit short. They're 2 of 14. That's 14.3%.
They'll take the .3 or any kind of point they can get right now.
Hey, Reese, I was just in the Carolina huddle. Talk about a mood swing. Roy Williams almost, not quite, but almost smiled when talking about this comeback. He said, look, he looked at the scoreboard, he motioned to his team, he said, we're only behind by 4 points. We just got to do the little things, and he kept on emphasizing box out. But clearly, he made a point to show them they are totally back in this game.
Clemson continues to make the little mistakes, fouling a 3-point shooter instead of just getting pressure on Brandon Robinson, putting him at the line for 3 free throws.
And that foul, Jay, was on Gabe DeVoe. That's his 3rd. Luke May also has 3. He's on the bench right now. And Clemson very fortunate that Robinson, who had hit 8 of 9 free throws on the season coming in, now has hit 8 out of 11. He's missed his first 2. Salvages 1. It's a 13-1 North Carolina run, and I don't remember the last time this was a 1-possession game, but that's what we have with just over 11 minutes to play in Littlejohn Coliseum. Joel Berry almost forced the turnover.
Clemson needs to spread North Carolina out and drive them. Carolina's got 2 big guys on the floor. Put them in ball screens, get them away from the bucket and attack. But there's a lot of messing around. Now they're getting to the end of a shot clock. They're going to have to settle.
That's been a regular occurrence here in the second half. Mitchell had to take a tough shot, and DeVoe somehow got a hand on it and tipped it home.
DeVoe in between 2 Tar Heels, and just what Gene Wojciechowski was saying from Roy Williams in the huddle. Box out. Smallest guy on the floor, near smallest guy. Gabe DeVoe gets an easy tip in.
Robinson got caught up in the air with nothing to do, and it's a turnover. Malik Williams wanted it on the block. DeVoe didn't give it to him. Reed driving, lost a handle. Williams saves it, but Clemson still has it. From the corner, stepping out was Amir Sims. He couldn't get it to go, and then I think the foul's going to be on Kenny Williams.
I don't get that one.
First foul on Williams.
Both players going after the ball. I thought Kenny Williams had just as much right to get that. That's incidental contact. I mean, who had the right of way to the ball?
Gentlemen,
you can call that on either one. If you can call it on either one, call it on neither. That's incidental contact.
Sometimes it almost seems like if somebody goes crawling, they feel obligated to call it. Reed's going to line one up from the corner. And go to the senior, Joel Berry, to answer.
He's not had one of his best games, but Joel Berry is a big-time player. And that was the kind of answer that his team needed to keep him in it. Now, Brad Brownell trying to spread out this North Carolina defense and then drive it.
And Sims is called for the travel. Carolina will have it back. Hope you'll check out our women's Thursday night showcase on ESPN. Undefeated #1 UConn going on the road to take on #7 South Carolina, the reigning national champions. 7 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday. The Con 5-0 all time against Old Cocky. They won by 11 last year when they met in the regular season in stores, but that win by Mississippi State last year kept the two from meeting in the championship game. The Gamecocks brought crown back here to the Palmetto State, where the Tigers are hoping to snap a 10-game losing streak to North Carolina. Cameron Johnson now has 25 points, a career high, and he's keeping North Carolina in it. 3-point game. Clemson hasn't been to the NCAA tournament since Brownell's first season. David Skara from the corner.
That is Clemson's 13th three. And poor pass, but Garrison Brooks got to go up and catch that. If he can't control it, go up and catch it.
DeVoe. A little too hard on the shot. Now North Carolina. This place was ready to erupt, hoping for a Clemson run. Berry draws some contact inside against Malik Williams.
Really nice job by Clemson. See, they're spreading North Carolina out. Here's the ball screen. Look how far out Garrison Brooks has to be. And Luke May tries to pick up the roll man. That left the corner Skara wide open. And that's the first three that Skara has hit in quite some time. Maybe give him a little bit of confidence.
5-point game.
Well, in the last two games, North Carolina gave up 15 threes, 15 of 30 to North Carolina State on Saturday in that overtime loss. Now already 13 in this one to Clemson. Carolina better figure out how to guard that three-point line.
And Roy was joking today, saying if you're struggling shooting, just come play us or put Carolina on the jerseys of the team you're playing. But through all the troubles, the Tar Heels just down by 4. Headed toward the 8-minute mark. Reed gets a friendly home bounce.
And really good pressure on that shot off the ball screen. They're just raising up Elijah Thomas and playing 4-round-1, spreading him out, and then going with a middle ball screen. Bad shot.
Yeah, it was a tough one, and Williams couldn't get it to go. Williams scored 6 quick points early here in the half to get North Carolina going in the second half, but that one might have been a little impatient. Reed fouled on the 3-point shot by Cameron Johnson. And Johnson, who has done so much so well offensively, whistle for the foul there. Whatever you listened to in the second half against West Virginia, you ought to continue to listen to it. Kevin Knox was terrific. Getting close to that time of year, Joe Lunardi working on bracketology. He has 9 ACC teams in, including these two. Both of these, according to Joe's latest bracket, would be 4 seeds. Both these teams, Jay, in the top 10 of the RPI, both in the top 20 BPI and KenPom.
Well, and you wonder whether Clemson is going to be able to keep up the pace that they set early in the season without Dante Grantham. It's going to be awfully difficult to replace a player of that caliber. And North Carolina has played a really difficult schedule. I think one of the problems Carolina has going forward, especially if they don't start playing at a higher level, is the schedule they have coming down the stretch is brutal.
Marquise Reed made all 3 of them. He's scored 8 of their last 11. He's got 15 on the night to go with 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Luke May, who's the 4th leading scorer in the ACC, back into the game. He only has 4 tonight. Tar Heels down by 9, and they would be most appreciative that they can find a way to get number 32 going.
Nice move.
Joel Berry, an acrobatic, tough shot.
Well, it was the hesitation that opened it up. And you know, right now, North Carolina's first shot defense has been excellent in the second half. But they've given up some offensive rebounds. In fact, throughout the game, North Carolina has given up 18 second chance points to Clemson to only 7 for the Tar Heels. That is unusual for a North Carolina team.
DeVoe.
All of a sudden, it is 10 again.
DeVoe is raining in 3s. That's his 5th triple of the night to push the lead back to double digits.
Well, you just can't leave him.
He has been sensational. 25 against Georgia Tech on Sunday night as Berry trying to keep Carolina in it. Another strong physical move by the senior guard.
Well, the second time he's had to attack off that high pick and roll, and he's gone right into the chest of Elijah Thomas, who has 6 blocks in this game. And Berry is such a good finisher. He may be small, but it's almost like he climbs up the chest of the defender and finishes creatively at the rim.
Brooks got away with a push on Thomas, and he didn't get away with a second one. Chance for a 3-point play.
That's just strength and experience against youth. Elijah Thomas has been a dominant presence on the defensive end, but just makes an immediate move and turns right into the chest of Garrison Brooks. Not a whole lot of contact there. Referee calling the foul, protecting the shooter.
Thomas can't complete the 3-point play. 7 points and 6 rebounds to go with those 6 blocks you mentioned. Inside 6 to play.
Got a switch. Now another.
Cam Johnson, 27 for him.
Well, he's been outstanding. Hasn't had a ton of help, and Luke May's had a rough day, but Clemson now, the tough thing to do to close out this game is going to be to run good offense, score, or get fouled on every possession.
Better stick with him. Reed chases it down now. Thomas has it on the block, and Berry dug it out of there, and then a silly foul on Thomas.
Why would Thomas foul there? And you're fouling a near 90% free throw shooter. Great dig in the post by Joel Berry, and he didn't go and slap down. He went to get the ball. He doesn't just dig down just to bother Elijah Thomas. He goes to steal the ball. When the pass goes in, he opens up, and then he goes to steal that thing, and he's strong. But that was a really poor foul and poor choice by Elijah Thomas there. He prevented a first down, but he put Joel Berry on the free throw line.
Thomas is third.
Well, the reason, I mean, it's obvious why you don't want to foul there.
Right.
You don't want to walk 70 feet down the floor and allow your opponent to score with no defense. No time going off the clock. And especially a player like Joel Berry, you just don't want to let him see the ball go through the net over and over.
He's seen it quite a bit in the second half. Berry up to 18 on the game, and the lead back down to 6.
This is a huge possession right now.
Skara from 21, shot at 19. And it'll be Carolina ball. Saturday on ESPN, 6:15 Eastern Time. Trae Young and the Sooners taking on Texas. College Game Day will be there. That'll be followed by Michigan State and Indiana. Both games available on the ESPN app. Manley back into the game. He got the offensive rebound. Lost it out of bounds. Seems like strength is all he and Brooks need. They've both very talented guys, and it's what the bench is telling him now.
Now they're going to look for Joel Berry on the weak side.
Johnson.
Wow.
Yep.
Really well executed by North Carolina. Berry oftentimes will go backdoor off that inbounds play, and then they got the screen down for Cam Johnson. He is one confident player right now. By far his best game.
Got 30, a career high. Marquise Reed drawing some body contact on May as he goes in, and May will be called for the foul. That's 4 on Luke May. Here's Cam Johnson.
Well, oftentimes when that reversal is made, you can see Joel Berry go backdoor. He's all by himself. But Sterling Manley, when he reversed the ball, went down, set a screen. But boy, that last drive by Marquise Reed, it's so interesting to me, how you have to play in this game. Luke May looked like he went straight up, and Marquise Reed went right into his chest, and that's awfully difficult to officiate. But you kind of wonder, like, how the referees tell you, hey, you got all that space. He's there, and he goes straight up, and the contact was created by the offensive player. So what do you do? It's a bang-bang play, and honestly, I prefer protecting the shooter there. That I'd rather have that go on the offense. But if it's contact created by the offense, the players are told, hey, we're not going to call that if the offense creates that contact and you go straight up.
And May's going to play, or attempt to play, the last 4 minutes now with 4 fouls. Berry, another one, 2-point game.
Boy, North Carolina is really abusing Clemson on those high screens, and it's been Joel Berry that's doing all the damage, whether it's a switch or not. Berry's been taking on a secondary defender, stepping back. He has been spectacular the last few minutes. Can Clemson answer? That's really the key here.
Reed gets it back in a fresh shot clock for the Tigers.
Manley knocked it away from his own guy.
Thomas has it up strong, can't get the finish, and a whistle.
Boy, the offensive glass saving Clemson again. North Carolina unable to clean it up. And the high ball screen for Joel Berry has been a big part of the offense late in the game to get Carolina within striking distance. We got a good one.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented.
2 halves, and North Carolina in this second half, especially late, has been going to the high ball screen. Garrison Brooks sets it. There's a switch, and Joel Berry takes it on and creatively finishes off the glass. Again, Sterling Manley. Now Skara goes underneath the screen, and Joel Berry steps behind and knocks down the 3. Berry has 21 points and 4 assists in this game. Cam Johnson, 30 points, 6 of 10 from 3. And we asked who would be the third scorer. Well, Cam Johnson has stepped up to be the third scorer. It's just the number 1 scorer. Luke May only has 4 in this game, and yet Carolina's still within a bucket.
Jay, that's exactly what they were talking about in Clemson's huddle. Purnell was talking about you've got to handle those high screens better, but then he sort of looked at everybody and said, we're okay, we're fine. Smile, enjoy this, embrace it. We can handle this, Jay.
Well, that's exactly right. When the heat starts coming and you start getting a little tight, and Clemson had a big lead, they were playing with the wind at their back. And you have to be reminded sometime, this is the position. If I'd told you at the beginning of the game we'd be up 4 with 3 minutes to go, what would you have said? You'd say, bring it on, so let's play.
High screen from Manley. Kenny Williams used it. But that bugaboo, that Carolina blue, has vexed Clemson. 10 in a row. Carolina's won at 20 of 21, and Johnson will go to the free throw line.
Well, Sterling Manley, after he sets that high screen, has to roll harder to the basket. Carolina fortunate there. He mishandled the ball, wound up getting it to Johnson. But Johnson right now has been very aggressive if he doesn't have a shot of driving it, and he's an excellent free throw shooter. Those two free throws he hit to send the North Carolina State game into overtime, that was really big time. And you can say, well, he's a great shooter, but you step in that situation and knock those down, that's really impressive.
Especially with the probably slight disappointment that somehow the shot he took before then somehow rolled off the rim. It could have been an opportunity for a three-point play in the lead and likely to win. Johnson knocks them both down. He's got 32. Johnson and Berry have scored Carolina's last 21. Tigers have it up to just under 3 minutes to play. And a turnover, Berry with the steal, and he lost it out of bounds.
Boy, Brad Brownell is beside himself that his team was not ready for the scramble trap. I mean, that's North Carolina basketball. That's what they do. And it looked like it was a complete surprise. But Clemson very fortunate. Not only they didn't cough the ball up, but they didn't cough up a layup out of that one.
And Roy came over here and slammed the table right in front of us like he was going 1, 2, 3 in the WWE and counting somebody out.
Well, good job by Manley to hedge out on that screen. That ball's got to go in earlier to Thomas.
Thomas with 4 fouls, can't get it to go. Carolina has it a chance to tie or take the lead inside 2.5 to play.
Here's the high ball screen again.
Berry fade away, tied at 74. Joe Berry.
He has dominated this second half with his play off the screen. Now, that's the difference between a winner and a champion. With Theo Pinson out, Luke May having maybe his worst game of the year, Joe Berry has stepped forward.
Marquise Reed. Inside 90 seconds to go. Johnson fading, firing, no good. Reed with a rebound.
Boy, what an answer by Clemson. What an answer. That three by Reed when he popped to the corner and caught Kenny Williams on that screen, and then to get that defensive stop.
Reed penetrating. Thomas. And the offensive rebound. DeVoe pulls it out.
That's the second offensive rebound he's got in that particular spot, and took on 2 and 3 Tar Heels each time he did it. Big time rebounds.
Looping pass. Reed has it. Shot clock headed toward 10. Clemson's a long way from the bucket. Let Reed work on Williams. Goes right by him. The dish to Thomas. And he's got it. This place is bedlam. We're only gone for 30 seconds. Clemson tries to finish.
Got 5 straight. 74 all, right?
.4 seconds to go in Littlejohn. Clemson's leading Carolina by 5.
A terrific job by Elijah Thomas to set a screen and trying to go over the top. Kenny Williams got caught. Marquise Reed knocks it down, and then Reed driving in, and Thomas knocking it down on the other side of the bucket. That's 5 unanswered points. It was tied at 74. And I'll tell you what, that showed a lot of heart on the part of Clemson. The Tigers could have folded when it was tied at 74, but Clemson answered big 3, huge stop, and then the big 2 to stretch it out to 5.
Okay, with 27.4 down 5, what do the Heels need to do on this possession?
Just get it down court quickly and try to get something going to the basket. Clemson doesn't want to foul. But you're going to go 4 low and let Joel Berry take it. If you can get a kick-out 3, that's fine, but I go to the rim here.
Berry takes a tough fadeaway and makes it because he's making everything and keeping North Carolina within striking distance. 3-point game, 16.3 to go. Sports Center at 11 Eastern tonight after Vandy and Kentucky. Butcher, Gross, and Anderson will be there. Reports from the Super Bowl. Eagles and Patriots, the latest on Gronk's status. What will the Cavs rotation look like in the fourth quarter? Isaiah Thomas. Will Kevin Love use a teammate as a coat rack? Plus a deep look into the run of Russell Westbrook, who's led the league in scoring this past week. At Sports Center tonight, 11 Eastern on ESPN and the app. Here's Brad Brownell's Bob and Genevieve, the parents of Brad Brownell. He's looking for his first win against North Carolina. 0-10 here at Clemson. 0-12 in his career. Clemson has lost 20 of 21 to the Tar Heels. They're 16.7 away from finishing it, Jay.
Well, in order to get that first win over North Carolina for Brad Brownell, you got to get the ball in bounds. And you want to try to get it into one of your 3 guards who are your best free throw shooters. David Scarr also on the floor. He has not shot free throws well this year, but is capable.
Blake Deck pressuring the ball and inbounded, and immediately Shelton Mitchell is fouled.
And Mitchell 85% from the line. And that's exactly what Brad Brownell wanted. He wanted the ball in the hands of Marquise Reed or Shelton Mitchell.
Well, Luke May was off the floor for that possession because he's got 4 fouls. He's back at the scorer's table. Amir Sims from Clemson beside him.
Just one of these makes it a 2-possession game. After a free throw, North Carolina likes to advance the ball up the sideline. And if Clemson is alert to that, they can knock the ball away, maybe get a steal.
Rattles out, 4-point game. Here comes Johnson, all the way to the basket. Blocked away. And Mitchell is fouled. He'll go back to the free throw line. It was the right play by Johnson. He just couldn't finish it.
Yeah, you want to attack the basket, but it's just a question of going hard to the rim so that you get that contact. But when you bring the ball down, you have to go right into the contact. And Scarr does a nice job to knock it away. Boy, Clemson, that was an impressive answer when the Tigers could have folded. All of this without Dante Grantham, who's out for the year, injured his knee against Notre Dame.
6-point lead. Tigers on an 8-2 run since it was tied at 74. Berry scores it. Timeout Carolina. 2.5 to go. 4-point game. And the Clemson fans have waited a long time to beat Carolina, and some boos running down. They'll just have to wait through this timeout, barring a complete disaster or meltdown from the Tigers. I said at the top of the broadcast, it is a tradition in football to invite the fans onto the playing field after every football game. Might it be that the fans invite themselves onto the floor after beating the Tar Heels tonight?
Is that just a nice way? Is there a different vernacular in football? Are there no field stormings?
There can be, but here, the good people of Clemson get very upset with you if you say they stormed the field because they are invited on after every home game. I don't know that that's the case here in Littlejohn, but it might not matter because these students are pretty riled up.
My invitation must have been lost in the mail. I haven't received an invitation. Yours was probably engraved and delivered to you on a silver plate.
Carolina pressing. DeVoe's going to throw it long for Scarra. May gets a hand on it, but that's going to work out just fine for Clemson, and the streak is over. And Clemson defeats North Carolina 82-78.
A lot of people got invited.
There are